Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us for this new session in the Archie Fridays edition. So, as usual, as you already know, since you have been following us on our platforms, online platforms for broadcasting those sessions, Archie Fridays is weekly lunch and learn series that is dedicated to real world architecture transformation and also innovation in enterprise systems. So we are sharing with you with our speakers, distinguished speakers every week. All the knowledge dedicated to new design patterns in architectures, new technologies related to cloud or any other topics. And this is really an open space for any one of you if you want to join us, if you have some tips or some tools to share with us in those sessions. Yeah, that will be great. So you can, of course, be part of this adventure. And in today's session, of course, I will be co-hosting this session as usual with Rodrigue. So
Hello.
he will be of the session. So as usual, and we have our special guest Pravin that will be he will be with us for today's session to present one of the most critical and often challenging phases of any journey, which is the data migration from SAP ECC. And here for this session, the title of the session is Accelerating SAP ECC Data Migration to S4 HANA. So using direct data transfer. And of course, without going deep into the details of the session, I will give the mic and the floor to our guest, to our speaker, Pravin, to present his experience as an SAP lead at Atos, and to present the topic and go into the details. So, if you are planning your SAP migration or supporting any clients through their solutions, this session will be very interesting for you. And of course, as usual, you will have the recording available on YouTube, and you can, of course, review the session anytime you want. So, once again, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much, Pravin, for being part of this session. The floor is yours, and thank you very much for sharing your expertise with our community.
Thank you very much, Sam. And thanks once again for giving me this opportunity to share details on accelerating SAP ECC data migration to S4 HANA using direct data transfer approach. This is a fairly new approach in SAP system. So we'll go over the complete details during next 45 minutes. So, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining today's session. My name is Praveen Patange. I am SAP lead consultant at Atos. Over the last several years, I have been working on S4 HANA transformation project, particularly focusing on data migration, system integration, and procurement optimization. I am passionate about simplifying migration journey, transforming what often feels like a technical challenge into a predictable, business driven success. Today, I will walk you through one such journey, the migration of more than 50K active purchase orders using SAP Direct Data Transfer methodology using S4 HANA Migration Cockpit. Here is how we will spend our next 45 minutes together. First, we will discuss about why purchase order migration is so critical for business continuity. Then I will introduce data, a direct data transfer, SCP built-in automated approach. We will explore the end-to-end implementation step, from ECC preparation to final cutover. I will also share real world challenges we faced and how to overcome them. Finally, we will look at a result, reusable framework, and best practices that you can adopt in your own project. Let's start with why purchase order migration it matters. Typically, all those transitional data it matters to the business, not only the purchase order, but as we have considered purchase order topic for today's, so I will just focus on purchase order. Okay. So when organization move from ECC, SAP ECC to S4 HANA system, one of the biggest risk lies in open transactional data. Open transactional data like purchase orders, sales orders, next that is account receivable, payable, GL account, GL balances. So many transactional data are exist in SAP system. So it is essential to migrate those into S4 HANA system. So our today's case study is on purchase order. So enter that is the discussion will be on as a purchase order only. So if open purchase order do not migrate cleanly, the entire procurement process can come to a standstill. Suppliers stop receiving orders, deliveries will get delayed, and there is a financial reconciliation will get messy. So multiple that is issues may occur if things do not goes well during the migration. So in our project, we faced some of the scenarios while migrating those 50K active purchase orders across four different types. So these are the purchase orders type basically. One is called as a standard purchase order. Another one is subcontracting purchase order. Next one is that is a stock transfer, and one more is there that is a service orders. Okay, so these are the typically they call it in SAP terms and the business terms also is the type of orders. The goal was our goal was zero business disruptions during the cutovers, and I'm proudly to say that we have achieved to the great extent. Now let's see what is direct data transfer. Now we'll discuss about more in detail about direct data transfer in this particular slide. I want to explain the concept of direct data transfer, which is generally known as DDT. SAP introduced direct data transfer approach from S4 HANA 1909 release, and it is SAP recommended method for migrating master and transactional data during S4 HANA transitions. So we can make use only this direct data transfer in case you have source system is also on SAP environment like ECC system, ERP. Okay, it is not applicable for non-SAP system. Unlike the traditional file-based upload, DDT, now I will refer here DDT as a direct data transfer. DDT enables a direct real-time connections between ECC source system and S4 HANA target through the migration cockpit. So migration cockpit is also introduced by SAP somewhere in that is 15 or 16 of last years. Okay, means it is now almost a decade. This approach significantly reduce manual efforts because data does not need to be extracted, transformed, and loaded separately. Instead, SAP automatically handles the validation, mapping, and consistency check within the cockpit. This leads to faster migration cycle, fewer error, and a much more integrated and secure transfer process. Overall, DDT provides a streamlined, automated, and highly reliable mechanism for moving complex objects like purchase orders into S4HANA with better accuracy and minimum disruption to business operation. Migration architecture overview. In these slides, I will walk you through the overall architectures that supports purchase order migration from ECC to S4HANA. The migration framework consists of three main layers which works together. First, we have the ECC source system where all open purchase orders resides. Through a secure RFC connection, the system extracts all relevant procurement data directly without requiring a manual file upload. There are prerequisites. So our SAP ERP system should be on a version 6 with enhancement pack is EHP 0 or higher version. Another is that it requires to install data migration interface service that's called as a DMIS, which should be compatible with the current S4 HANA system. Okay, so this is the prerequisites for ECC as well as S4 HANA system. Next, next is S4 HANA Migration Cockpit, which acts as a core processing engine. This layer handles data validation, transformation, field mapping, and error monitoring. It ensures that only complete and consistent purchase orders record move forward in the pipeline. Finally, the validated data is loaded into S4 HANA 2023. This is the release in target system, where purchase orders are created with full integrity. This architecture, sorry, these architectures provide end-to-end transparency, real-time monitoring, and highly automated data flow, ensuring a smooth and reliable migration process. Let's now dive into the step-by-step implementation process. So first one, ECC preparation. As mentioned earlier, uh, we start by configuring the RFC connection between S4 HANA system and ECC, installing data migration interface service that's called as a DMIS add-on for data services compatible with the S4 HANA release, setting up user authorization relevant to migration object. In this case, it is purchase order. Testing secure communication channel. So already we set up RFC connection. We must check it is working up and working consistently. Next one, project creation and object activation in S4 HANA. So this activity falls within the migration cockpit. So first task is to create a new project using direct data transfer approach in migration cockpit. Once the project is created, we need to add migration purchase order data object. So once we added that, all the associated template APIs that will be get generated under the newly created project, and it's available for the use. Third one is define filtering criteria. So this specifically requires to identify all open purchase orders, right? So we don't want to bring all the existing data from ECC to S4 on our system. So our limit means idea and objective is only open. So how that will be get identified? Which are those are open purchase orders? Here are the mechanism. So we perform purchase order filtering using a transaction. So in SAP we have some transaction. Those are called ME29. So ME29 refers with the purchasing document per document number. This is the description of the transaction. And ME2K represent purchasing document per account assignment. So these are the two transactions which is useful to know what is the open quantity, what are the quantities are being already received, is partial quantity or full quantity is received or not received. So those level of information we received it on all the purchase order belongs to purchasing group or company code level, right? At the same time, we have certain set of tables like EKKO, purchasing purchasing order header table, line item table called EKPO, scheduling line EKET, and purchase order history table EKET, EKEB. So those are the tables are actively used to identify the open purchase order. So mostly technical people go with the table, and functional people directly they can access a transaction and to see which are those open purchase orders exist in the system. So this entire process, filtering process, helps to reduce the noise and focus on clean and relevant data. Also eliminate the line items which are marked for deletion flags. Generally, it happens in system that some of the line items are deleted. So permanently it is not deleted from the system. It flag that deletion mark indicator. So those record we should not be considered, right? So migration and it is also part of a migration cockpit is used to enhance data migration template with the custom field level mapping and defining default values. So in most of the cases, there are custom development happens, structures are get added with a custom field. So certainly it requires to pass that data into the newly system. So in that case, it requires to enhance the template. So that is done through migration object modeler. Okay. Now let's come to the data transfer execution. This is the one step where everything revolves. Okay. So there are multiple steps in this particular process. Make sure sorry, make sure purchase orders producers object must be migrated. So there are dependencies like cost center, profit centers, suppliers, product, projects, purchasing contract, purchasing info record with a condition. So these are all that is a dependent data object. It must be means loaded prior to purchase orders. Okay. Then our real processes get start, and this is iterative process. First, that is collect the data from ECC. Once the data comes to S4 system, then it is get validated for all the mandatory fields as well as a date and a number formattings, and the rest others also, those are get validated. If everything looks good, then that is get stored in temporary table, is called as a staging table. Now next, once this is been ready, next activity is to field level mappings, right? So as already mentioned, it is done through the migration object modeler. Okay, so it is a one-time activity. Next, value mapping task. This is also a one-time activity, and it is reusable whenever any new set of data comes. And if it is existing matching with the old value, then it reassign the new values there. But if any new value comes in the new data set, then automatically it asks to map those new values to the old one. Okay. So these are the process steps within the migration cockpit. So next step, once everything is done, then it simulate. There is a option called as a simulate migration. So this is a very good feature. It is introduced or it is available with the SAP. So where we can see whether our data set is good to process through API, right? In case if there is any issue, then it display an error message, right? If it is good, then it show that it's good to go, right? So point is here that during the simulation, data won't save in a database, right? So it only gives that is a simulation, which are the good records, which are the bad records. Okay. And final step is that is migration, migrate the data. So once simulation is completed and we saw that records are good to move, then we can do this as a final activity, which posts the data into S4 HANA system. The migration process run in controlled manner. The real-time error tracking, we monitor each step closely to catch and resolve inconsistency immediately. And there is the validation also. So finally, once the data is get loaded, we need to do the validation. SAP Migration Cockpit also provide a good amount of information in the form of a dashboard. So finally, we use both. So we completed end-to-end validations and cutover, comparing basically counts, number of records, values, status, and obtaining full business sign out before migrating to the production. So this is the process we have to follow every time whenever we are loading the data into S4 system using migration cockpit. Next one is that purchase order types and migrated. So in this slide, I would like to highlight the different purchase order types we successfully migrated as a part of a project. We handled four major categories. First one is standard purchase order, which covers regular goods procurement. Subcontracting purchase order, which involves uh, which involve providing component to the vendors. Stock transfer purchase order. Generally, it is used for material movement between plant or companies. And service order, which depends upon service entry sheets. Each type of purchase orders brought its own complexity, especially subcontracting and service purchase order, where additional component and service data had to be validated very carefully. Managing this variation ensures complete and accurate migration across all the procurement scenarios. Next one is that real world challenges encountered. In this slide, I want to highlight some of the main challenges we face during the migration process. One of the biggest issue was data inconsistency in ECC system. Many purchase order had incomplete fields, outdated vendor details, incorrect delivery schedules, or missing tax information, which led to repeated validation failure during migration. We also encounter authorization and role related challenges in S4HANA. Several procurement and technical users lack the required roles, which block migration activity and slow down testing cycle. Another recurring issue was tax code mismatch between ECC and S4HANA system. Because tax structures were not fully aligned, several purchase orders failed validations until harmonization was completed. Finally, vendor master data quality created significant obstacles. Some of the vendors were inactive, duplicated, or missing mandatory data required in S4, which prevents smooth purchase order transfer. This challenge reinforced the need for strong data preparation, early business involvement, and close cross-functional coordination. One important challenge was the organizational side, coordination between different data owners like material management, finance, controlling, and logistics was not always consistent. We slow down the validation and decision making. Business users were involved late in the testing cycle, leading to rework and delay. In addition, frequent configuration change in the S4HANA during migration testing created instability and required repeated adjustments to mapping and validation logic. So those were that is a prominent errors, sorry, challenges we encounter during this process. Okay. Now we saw the challenges. At the same time, we can see the practical that is a solution what we implemented. In this session, I want to highlight the practical steps we implemented to resolve the issue uncovered during initial testing. We begin with a detailed vendor master cleanup, correcting incomplete records, updating missing fields, reactivating required vendors, and removing duplicate that were blocking PO migration. We then align tax configuration between ECC and S4HANA to eliminate mismatch during the validation. Another key focus was establishing the correct procurement role and authorization in S4 to prevent access-related errors. Additionally, we developed a pre-migration validation script to identify data gap early. This action greatly improved data accuracy and ensured smooth and predictable migration cycle. Next one, that mock run optimization strategy. So this is also very important during the any data migration process. Okay. In this slide, I want to emphasize how critical our mock run strategy was to achieve a smooth and predictable migration. We did not rely on single test. Instead, we conducted multiple mock runs, each designed to identify gaps, validate assumptions, and refine migration process. Even SAP also recommended to have minimum three that is mock run to be implemented or executed throughout the project life cycle. With every iteration, we refine mappings, validated business rule, and improved success rate. This structured, repetitive testing approach and ensure predictable outcome and build strong confidence before the final cutover. Mock run first. Generally, it happens during the development phase. So where we saw that around 30% of data is used to test during the unit testing, and we saw that only 65% success rate. That gives us baseline revealing configuration mismatch and data quality issue. Second, that mock run we conducted during the SIT, where we got 85% success rate on using of 60% overall data volume. So here also we improved vendor and tax data, help validate the improvements, especially in the vendor cleanup and tax alignment. Third mock run was done during the UAT phase, and here we use almost 80% of our data volume to VMeans process, and we got around 97% of success rate. We achieve a high success rate after fine-tuning exceptions handling and transformation rule. And final validation, we did it in pre-prod system, right? So full-scale rehearsal before actual cutover. So with 100% of data, it was being tested in pre-prod environment where we have same uh, capacity of a system, so everything is same as like a production. So it is help us to know how much time is required for each process, so that helps us to build a cutover plan very correctly. Each iteration allows us to stabilize the process, reduce errors early, and build full confidence before cutover. These repeated cycles ensure that by the time we reach the final rehearsal, both technical and business teams were aligned and fully prepared for production migration. And this is what migration result we achieved. In this slide, I would like to summarize the key results we achieved through direct data transfer approach. One of the most significant outcome was the 35% reduction in migration time compared to traditional file-based method. This was possible due to automation, streamlined data flow, and early issue detection. In general practice, there is the requirement to extract the data. So some team write a program, extract the data, then it put it into the template, and then it finally comes to S4HANA system for upload. So it requires a lot of that is resources as well as development to extract the data in typical template. So certainly it is laborious. So that work is being reduced by 30%, we can say. So that particular activity, manual activity, is absolutely not required. We also achieve an impressive 99.2% data match rate between ECC and S4HANA system after final validation. This accuracy gives the business strong confidence and procurement process would continue with minimal disruption post go live. Another major achievement was reaching 95% automation, meaning only minimal only minimal intervention was needed throughout the migration cycle. This reduces human errors, improve consistency, and accelerated decision making. Overall, this result demonstrates that with the right preparation, governance, and data quality focus, even large-scale purchase order migration can be executed smoothly, predictably, and with a high business trust. Now, there are some key takeaways and the best practices. The key takeaway from this migration journey is that success depends on strong preparation, disciplined execution, and continuous collaboration. Prioritize data quality early, clean vendor master data, validate tax codes, and resolve configuration mismatch before migration begins. Conduct multiple mock runs to uncover exception, fine-tune transformation logic, and build confidence across the team. Establish clear validation criteria, including reconciliation rules and success metrics aligned with the business stakeholder. Maintain close coordination between procurement, finance, basis, security, and technical team to ensure timely decisions and issue resolutions. Following these best practices, minimize risk, accelerate cutover readiness, and ensure a smooth disruption-free transition to S4HANA system. Here are some reusable migration framework. In this slide, I would like to highlight the reusable migration framework we developed throughout the project. This migration captures all the key lessons template and repeatable process that help us achieve a smooth and predictable migration. It includes standardized RFC configuration checklist, PO filtering script, and data validation procedure that ensures only clean business relevant data enters the migration pipeline. We also created detailed mock run playbook outlining execution step, error handling methods, and reconciliation activities. Along with this, we prepare cutover control plan and rollback procedures to maintain compatible governance during the go live. Finally, we develop structure post migration reconciliation report, allowing allowing business team to verify accuracy accuracy quickly and confidently. This framework is fully reusable and adaptable, enabling organizations to streamline future S4HANA migration with higher consistency, fewer error, and faster delivery cycle. That brings us to the conclusion of today's session. Thank you for your time and attention. I appreciate your active participation and I hope the insights shared today were useful. I
Yeah,
would love
sure, sure. Sorry, I have a echo in my side.
hi.
Yes, we have an echo.
Okay, sorry for that. Do you hear me right now or not?
I can
Oh,
hear
sorry.
you.
Yeah, so thank you very much for your presentation. I, I'll let you take the control, Semi. I have an issue. Sorry.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Pravin, for the presentation and for all those details.
Thank you.
Yeah. Uh, I hear an echo. Sorry. Yeah. So once again, thank you very much for your availability and for being part of this session. So this is very motivating to see you sharing with us all this knowledge and experience with SAP HANA for the migration, and also for this let's say new technique DTT in order to perform this migration. Thank you very much also for the effort you provided for to prepare those slides, this presentation, and also to be available for the session. And just because we still have, let's say, 10 or 15 minutes just before the session ends. And I think that this will be the time to review the questions we get from
Yeah,
the community. I don't know, Pravin, if you can see those questions in the chat. Can you see them on the chat, the questions?
it's on the right side. Maybe you can read the question, Semi.
Yes, okay. So the first question, can you hear me, Pravin? I think you're muted.
Oh,
Okay, can you hear me, Pravin?
yes, I can hear you.
Good. Okay, for the first question, we have them on the chat box. So in order to prevent early failure due to missing setup during the migration, and to have a go or no go checklist before starting the migration, what are the exact prerequisites in ECC and S/4HANA to enable direct data transfer for the purchase orders before we start the migration? Any recommendations on this?
Yes. So during the cutover, certainly we have a detailed plan, as well as that is all dependency related, object related, migrated to system. So we documented percentage, how much percentage is been completed. This is validated by a project team as well as by the business team. It is signed off by business and data owners too, right? So this is very much essential to means get reviewed and signed off by data owner to continue the next level of migrations. Typically, what happen? First, it load all the migration master data into the system, and then based on that, transactional data is get uploaded. So transaction data use heavily all master data, right? So if master data is incorrect, then there is a chance to get a transactional data failure and combination of configurations too. Okay, so point is here that is once we loaded into the system, so we need to see the dependency, we need to see that is a percentage of success and accuracy of those data. Okay, so and once it is validated by, is there any echo from my side? Okay.
Sorry, I think
Sorry,
this
I
is
think
from my
this is
side.
from my side. Okay, okay, that's fine. So yes, so certainly we have a complete cutover plan. So in the cutover plan itself, we have activity called that is signed off from the data owner as well as from the business stakeholder. So once that activity is finished, then we move to next. And before going to final meeting about the go and no go decision, so that cutover plan is referred, whether it checks whether all it is been approved by respective that is a stakeholder or not, and if there is any issue, then what is the level of impact, right? So those are get means reviewed during the go and no go live meetings. So this is how it happens in each projects.
Yes, thank
Yes,
you
thank you.
very much for those clarifications and for those details. So that was the first question. So in the second question, so we have, yeah, this one. In order to help teams choose the right method based on volume, customization, and timeline, how does DTT differ from LTMC file-based migration, especially when we are handling more than 50K, 50,000 of purchase orders, especially in terms of performance and error handling. So I think the idea is to compare between two techniques that are implemented or used for data migration. So in this context, yeah.
It provides with a multiple approach. One is that template based, which is right now it is we have two only. One is a staging table, another is that is a direct data transfer. So staging table requires a template. So template requires to fill by that is respective team members, the functional team, or that is the data owners. Okay. So let's say this question is pertaining to the volume, right? Basically, so point is here, if you have very high volume of data, right, and your source system is ECC, your source system is ECC, then it makes sense to use direct data transfer approach to use the to extract data as well as load data in S4 system. Otherwise, if we are using staging table using a template, XML template, right? So in that case, there is a limitation. So we have certain limitations on file. So at the time, we can use that is 100 Mbps or more, somewhere that is 200 Mbps data load at a time, right? So we have that limitations, and certainly it increases number of loads in a system, wherein direct data transfer as such not just to put a filter, extract the data. So right now, let's say for example, even though you have 50,000 purchase orders, so not necessary you have to load all 50,000 together. You can go plant wise, purchasing organization wise. So those filters are maintained in a S4 HANA system itself. So it will pull the data for that and load at a time, right? So my suggestion on this, when you have high volume, certainly you would think about direct data transfer approach, provided that your source system is SAP. It is not applicable for non-SAP system.
Okay. Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Roderick.
Yeah. Another question. How do you ensure version control and traceability of mapping change across mock runs? We don't hear you.
I don't know how come all of a sudden it is went on mute. Okay. Okay. So Migration Cockpit is a tool right nowadays which has been used since last 10 years, and it has been enhanced very heavily. It provides each and every that is a log as well as monitoring steps, right? And provide the inbuilt validation verification on its own, plus provide the dashboard, right? In terms of how many records is being loaded, how many records are in error state, status means success, and along with the error details it provides. So it's a very that is enhanced and a very useful that is a tool in current days for the SAP. And moreover, it's a SAP tool always have that is support from SAP in case there is any challenges with respect to APIs. So yeah, it's a choice tool we can say. And moreover, this tool is nowadays available on a Fiori application. So it becomes very easy to make use of it, right, along with the rest of the transactions. Sorry. Roderick, you are on
Good.
mute, I think.
Yeah, good. So Rodrigue, you are muted.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Rodrigue, or we continue with those we have in the chat?
We can take what we have in the chat. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So those are questions we already have from the community. Yes. The second question. Okay, I'm going to read it. How do you manage? Sorry. How do you manage ongoing PO changes in ECC during the migration window? So, for example, the late approvals, the vendor amendments, So this is the second question.
Okay, so I'll take first question, right? What criteria were applied to distinguish active, absolute, and incomplete PO during the scoping? Correct. So as I mentioned that two transaction in a presentation, so those are the one which has been used to identify which are the active PO, right? Active PO means open PO means what? The purchase order is there, but their goods receipt is not happen. Their invoice verification is not happen. So such that is orders is considered as an open PO, right? So those can be considered. So here absolute in a sense, absolute is means those which is already means completed, means invoice verification is also done and then payment is also done to the vendor. So those are means non open item, that is a closed purchase order we can say. And absolute, if I can say, that is in terms of absolute, like means if there is any line item of a purchase order, right? Sometimes it happens the business user do not want that particular line item, then they go into the purchase order and delete that line item. Delete that line item means mark for deletion flag, okay? So that particular line item should not be considered when it comes for that is a open line, open purchase order, because that is already decided should not be considered as a line of a purchase order. So this is what I think the answer for the question number one. Next, I will see that is how did you manage outgoing ongoing PO changes in a ECC during the migration windows? Typically there is a freeze time, right? If you do it up to UAT stage, that's fine, but once you enter into the cutover phase, certainly there is a freeze, and it won't allow to create a new purchase order or change the purchase order, right? So this is what business strategy is applied to keep the purchase order stable, right? So you can take the deliveries, no problem. You take the delivery, make a goods receipt, no issues. But alteration of a purchase order, generally it is not allowed, or new purchase order creation is also not allowed once the freeze is established. Yeah, this is what the answer for the second question.
Yes. Do you third question? Do you see it in the chat, or do you want me to read it, Pravin? I will read it.
Yeah, yeah, please.
Okay. Yeah. So third question: what risks arise when DMIS add-on versions between ECC and S4 HANA are not aligned, and how were they mitigated?
Okay, yeah. So certainly there is a one composite SAP note where it gives complete detail with respect to S4 HANA release versus that is DIMS release, right? So it should be compatible. Let's say that is 2025, 25, 23, 2023, right? S4 HANA release. Then what is the corresponding DMIS version should be there in ECC system, right? So that table itself it is given. So if this is mismatched, then certainly will not get a correct data or will get a multiple errors, right, during the execution itself, right? So that kind of a means challenges it's going to happen if version is mismatched, right? Compatibility version is mismatched between two systems. So mitigation is that as per the SAP suggestion, install the appropriate DMIS version in ECC environment and continue.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think we have too many questions. Maybe we will not have enough time to answer all these questions.
Okay.
Sorry for our urgence. Maybe we will send it to Praveen, and if we can take time later to give you all your answer. So we are close to the end of this session. What I can say is it's a good thank you. In French, we say merci, merci à toi. So thank you very much for your presentation and the sharing of such practical insight and accelerating the migration of the purchase order from ECC to S4HANA. I think it's a good subject because most of the time when I work in ERP or CRM project, the data is very critical, and most of the time the project fails because of the data. So
Yes.
thank you again for all your detail, and I think it will be very helpful for our audience. Semi, maybe conclude.
Yes, so I will just add some notes on what Rodriguez already mentioned. So to thank Praveen again for being part of this session and for his availability. During the interactions and the emails we have sent, we noticed that he was really excited and very motivated to join this session. So thank you very much for all this. And once again, for our followers, you will have the recording of the session available on YouTube, so you can review it anytime you want. And once again, if you want to take any information from the presentation that Praveen proposed during this session, so don't forget please to reference him, as so the content is copyrighted. Once again, thank you very much for all of you for being part of this session. And of course, Praveen, the invitation is still open. So if you have any other topic or any other subject that you want to share with us, that will be with a great pleasure to welcome you again to our sessions and to have you with us. So once again, thank you very much, and I will leave the final words for you, Praveen.
Yep. So thank you very much for both of you and our Friday's title. So giving me an opportunity to present this very, uh, I would say that is burning topic or the latest and the greatest one on the SAP S4HANA migration, data migration specifically. Nowadays that cloud also plays a very important role, so all those things it goes on premises on cloud. So certainly there are too many topics. If we come across with other new one with practical that is the solutions, certainly I'll come back and request for a new presentation again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all of you, and see you next week for our next session. Thank you very much.
Bye bye, have a good day.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Have a good day too.